Hey guys, in this video today, I'm going to be talking about navigating the licensing and regulation process, a part of your childcare startup journey. So if you are wondering like, Dag, I know I want to start a childcare business, but I just kind of want to know like, what is this whole licensing process like once I actually get to that point? If that is you, this is going to be the video for you. Make sure you stay tuned to the end and let's get into it. In the space of navigating the licensing and childcare regulations, like, familiarizing yourself with that is first thing going to be, guys, we want to familiarize yourself with the agencies, okay? And I think that's so important. And I'm going to start out with that. Just, rule of thumb of number one is that every single state is different. And I'm going to say it again. Every single state on the childcare startup is different. However, for the most part, all of the agencies are the same. That is why I clearly share in my Childcare Startup University course is just a simple fact. I teach the business of the startup process. Every single state, for the most part, is different, but the agencies are very similar. So rule number one is you want to familiarize yourself with how many agencies there are. And you may say like, okay, what is that? I'm gonna tell y'all. So you may have a license and inspection department. The license and inspection department is solely there to come in and make sure that this building is able to be occupied. So they're the people that really dive into your fire and safety. They're the people that really dive into your sprinkler systems. They're the people that really make sure this building is set up to code, right? So you ever see how like you might be at a club and on that club they say occupancy is 200 people, no more than 200 people can be in this club. Right? Simple, same thing. So you want to familiarize yourself with the license and inspections and what their requirements are for starting a childcare program. Okay? Because that's so important. The second agency that you may have to go through when you're thinking about that and familiarizing yourself is the health department. That's a big one. Health department, it doesn't matter what state you're in, we got to go through the health department. Their job is to make sure that your lighting is okay. Your sanitary practices are okay. Your equipment is up to code and up to standard to whatever their regulations are. So that's the second agency. What are they looking for when they come out, right? And then last but not least is going to be your licensing office. And every single licensing office has a different name, but whatever your state regulations, whoever gives those regulations out, that is your licensing office. So rule number one is you really want to familiarize yourself with those give or take 3 agencies, because those are going to be the agencies that you're interacting with during your startup process. Okay, now the next part, guys, is going to be so important. It is going to be the timeline. And I'm going to say it again. The timeline with those agencies. You want to figure out in that checklist, every single state has a basic website and a checklist on you got to do this first and do that first, go to this training, da 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 da. So you want to figure out what the timeline is going to be and what like the steps are, right? I'm gonna give you an example. So ideally in our state of the city of Philadelphia, but in the state of Pennsylvania, you got to make sure that your building is passed by license and inspection first. That's the first agency. Second agency is you got to pass your health inspection. Once you pass the health inspection, they're going to give you some kind of form, and then you use that form to fill out your basic state application and get your building ready. That is the overall process. Some states are different. Some states do health and state all in one visit, right? So you really want to familiarize yourself on that timeline. Who comes first? Who comes second? Who comes third? That is very important because you will be like me, and it's happened to us many times. Probably like our second building, we were ready for, at that point, we were ready for a licensing agency to come in, but they was like, oh, did you have your health inspection? And we're like, no, right? We didn't know we needed that step before that step. So it's so important to familiarize yourself with the timeline on those agencies. Some agencies may say, okay, well, once you're ready, you first need to get your certificate of occupancy. And you may say, okay, well, where do I get that from? That's why familiarizing yourself with the agencies first is important. And then second, laying out your timeline. So L&I might be 3 months, right? They might come out and say, oh, you need a firebox, you need light exits, you need a sprinkler system based off of this amount of square footage. So you really want to look at the timeline, because with those agencies, because then that's going to let you know your timeline for your startup process, because you got to go through those agencies in order to kind of get the ball rolling. Okay. They may come out and do a site visit. They make some states come out and do courtesy site visits. And that lets you know exactly what it is that you're working with. So it's so important to make sure that you know what your timeline is for all those different agencies, or if they're combined into one. Hey guys, I am super excited. I had to hop in here really quickly and give you guys this announcement, okay? So the CEO Circle, which is our growing networking community for all aspiring entrepreneurs out there and small business owners. If you are a female that is looking to grow, start, build, or even organize your childcare program for success, make sure that you check us out every single week, where we meet live on Zoom and in our private Facebook group for aspiring and motivated entrepreneurs just like you. The CEO Circle, you get 2 coaches, so it's not just me. It's my mom and I, who is also my business partner. We lead up and we host every single week masterclass for question and answers, book clubs, and so much more, because we focus on the whole woman and not just the bag, right? We got to be well balanced out here. So if you are looking for a thriving community, a sisterhood of other motivated women just like you, just looking to take their business from A all the way to Z as you grow and learn in this childcare industry, make sure that you check out the CEO Circle and our monthly membership, and make sure you try out our 14-day free trial. Let's get into it. Visit www.educatedmindz.com. My next thing that I'm going to say is navigating that process when it comes to just working with the licensing agencies, and what that's like is you really want to make sure you know what the credentials are that's needed. Okay, what are the credentials? What are the clearances and all of these things that go into it? I have seen it before where childcare providers they're getting the renovations done in their building, but guess what? They not getting any trainings done. They not going to orientation. They not running any clearances, because these things take time to come back, right? So you want to make sure you realize what's required a part of my application. That application that I got to turn into the state, what are they actually looking for? That application that I got to turn into the health department, what are they actually looking for? So here's an example. I didn't know that when we were doing our health department inspection that somebody got to have a ServSafe license, right? The owner, the person that's going to be there, that's going to be serving the food and getting this going, they got to have a ServSafe license. That's a whole separate training that we have to take to get our ServSafe license, to then be able to turn that in with our health department application before I even get to the state. You see how familiarizing yourself is so important? So again, make sure you go to your state website and figure out exactly what are the requirements and credentials needed for every single application. Okay, so when you're turning in your state application, it may say the owner must have all of their clearances. What's all of their clearances? This is the research. Is it FBI? Is it state police? Is it child abuse? Is it the sex offender new clearance that just came out and dropped? So you really want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the state regulations and credentials that are needed to turn in with the application. So therefore, while your building's getting all nice and pretty, you're doing the paperwork part. You're signing up for classes. You're doing that mandated orientation training that your state may require, right? That's why it's so important to know what's needed with these applications, so I'm not wasting time while I could be doing other things to get the ball rolling on the paperwork aspect of starting a business. The next thing I'm gonna say is, as you're in this space of navigating your business, guys, and as you're in the space of navigating licensing and all that great good stuff, just remember that at the end of the day, you're a brand new business owner. So what you don't know, you don't know, but make sure that you are literally crossing your T's and dotting your I's and researching and learning and Googling and asking questions. Always get a point of contact. Like I always say that anytime, you turn in your application or you call the health department, call the state, straight ask, hey, I'm in the process of this. Do I need this? No question is a dumb question, because what you don't want is, you don't want that inspector to come out there all because you assumed that it wasn't needed. I'd rather call and see and double check. I read this in the application, but I'm not quite sure what that meant. Do I need this first or do I need that second? Ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to call, because when that inspector comes in there to do what it is that they need to do, you really want them to come in and get in and obviously get out. But you want to make sure that they're coming in and you have your food menus posted. You want to make sure that they're coming in and you have your whole fire emergency plan laid out. Like, these are things that you really want to make sure that you have. Not that they're like, oh, okay, well, did you get your fire extinguishers? And you're like, ask questions. And that's why that is exactly, again, why I created the Childcare Startup course, because I've seen it so many times that it doesn't really matter what state you're in, because for the most part, all of the agencies have the same requirements. Like, all of the agencies are very similar, right? They're not all the same, but they're definitely very similar. They definitely want to enhance health and safety practices for the health department. They definitely want to make sure that you're wearing your gloves and that you're, sanitized, and that you got your bleaching water and it's labeled with the EPA number and all of these things, right? So make sure that you are really familiarizing yourself, that you ask questions in this space, because it is a very scary space. Like, you've never navigated it before. And if you have, maybe you had a partner and maybe you had somebody to help you. So definitely ask questions in that space as you're navigating the licensing process. And my last biggest tip, guys, as you are navigating this process, I'm pretty sure every single childcare entrepreneur that may watch this video or come across it will tell you, be prepared for delays in your timeline. I'm gonna say it again. Be prepared for delays in your timeline. I'm telling y'all, be prepared for them, whether it's rescheduling, whether the first time they came out, this wasn't available, whether, somebody out sick and then they picking up other cases, like whatever the case may be prepared financially for those delays, right? Be prepared also in your timeline of startup that things are going to happen. Things are going to get delayed. You got to be flexible. Like, nothing is set in stone in that startup process. And I share that because in our journey, one location took almost a year, like literally a year. A year of still paying mortgage, a year of still paying utilities, a year of still paying insurance. Like, it almost took a year to get that location open just because it was a complete flip. Like a complete flip. Whereas though another location site only took us 4 months, because going into it, we knew, oh, we're only servicing this age group. Oh, we're only going to have it for these hours. Oh, we're not going to go and start it out the way we started out that other location because we ran into these hiccups, X, Y, and Z. Our job is to get in and get open, and then we'll begin to, add on more ages or add on more classrooms or whatever the case like that may be, because every single state is different. So I highly just say be prepared for those delays and know that the delays are a part of your process, okay? Until next time, guys, have a great one.